Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey, YouTube citizens, I want to bring something to you, and I just want to. I want to keep this brief, but you know me. Sometimes I can go over, but we will see. But I've been talking to a lot of Christians on either on Facebook, by phone, in person. So obviously social media, YouTube, and one thing I'm learning is that when I'm speaking to Christians, I'm starting to realize they hate me. Why does Christians hate us? Obviously, when I say hate us, I'm talking about the Hebrew Israelites. Why do they hate us? And and I know these are people that I actually used to labor with. These are people I used to give money to. These are people that we used to do ministry together. And now I feel a sense of hate that they have towards me. What's changed? Why do they hate me so much? And when I say hate, it means now do they say I hate you? No, but they love me less because I know the type of relationship I had with them. So the relationship is here. Now it's down here. They don't love me like they once loved me. And it's like I'm starting to see their true colors. They really didn't care about me. And then, you can probably have thoughts that you've been used or taken advantage of, but I don't think that's what's going on. I think they hate us because there's two types of people: the children of the devil and the children of Yah. And Christians are children of the devil. And I say that purposefully. And if you're a Christian and you're hearing my voice, examine yourself like the scripture says. Go and examine yourself like the Bible says to see if you're in the faith. I do that. I did that. And I still continue to do that to make sure that I'm in the faith. How would you know if you don't examine yourself? Get a checkup. See where you are. That's what the Bible is for. The Bible helps you to recognize if you're in the faith or not. But because I used to labor amongst these people, I have been telling them the truth. And I have been purposeful into making sure that I don't make them feel comfortable in their sin. It reminds me in Isaiah where it talks about crying out loud and spare not, and let your lift up your voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sin. I have been crying out loud here in Green Bay and letting people know that they're sinning, that they're living in sin. And I spare not. And I will do whatever it takes to try to get it through their thick skull. Now I understand at the end of the day, they're not going to understand if Yah is not dealing with them. But when I'm talking to one person and other people kind of chime in, I know that there's a possibility that other people are listening. So it's not like I'm just having these one-on-one conversations. Sometimes I do, just to kind of see how they're thinking, where they're coming from. I know where a Christian is coming from because I was once a Christian. But they don't know where I'm coming from. And the things that come out of their mouth is utterly amazing. They charge, they levy charges against me and they can't even back it up biblically. They'll tell you I'm sinning. According to who? They'll say I'm doing the devil's work. According to who? They'll say I'm a drunkard. According to who? Just because, look. I've heard things as that I don't love women. I plan on getting married again, even though my first marriage with Eileen did not go well. She decided to walk away in rebellion against me and my rule. Hey, she's a free. It's a free country because she can do that. But I still love women enough that I still desire to have a wife. And I do plan on remarrying again. And I plan on still doing it in a biblical way. And it was going to be more biblical than it was the first time. I guarantee this much. My latter days are going to be better than my beginnings. That is a guarantee. I already can see that happening. But, people say that I'm slandering my wife. Eileen, that I'm slandering her. Slander means false spoken statement to a person's reputation. What have I said that was false? They'll just say you're slandering, but they don't tell you how you're slandering. Have I said anything that's false? about Eileen and the things that she has done against me and my household. No, but they'll tell you that. She slandered me. That's a fact. She slandered me behind closed doors. I've been called a dumb, bitter ass. I've been called stupid, sound foolish. I'm wrong. I'm following the devil. That I'm following a man, Pastor Dow. I'm not following Jesus. I'm just following Pastor Dow. These are the stuff that people say. They say that that we do name calling that we're arrogant, that we're prideful. I mean, these are the type of stuff that I'm hearing from people that I once lived life with, and it's hate, because the reason why I know it's hate, because I know how they used to treat me, and now the love they have for me is less than what they had for me. Even during this time, not too many of them came to my house and met with me to see what I believe. Not too many of them. There were some few that made some meals here and there. Thank you. But there wasn't a Kabir out there. How many times when I was in the Christian faith, when somebody was going through something and I knew about it, that I was all in to make sure I saw it through. I didn't just come in and then come out. When I got in, I stayed in until it was resolved. That's how it was. And when I needed somebody to do that for me, there was no one in this area, in the Wisconsin area, that did that for me. I had to get a guy in Tennessee. And let me take that back. There was one guy, not in my local area, but a guy like 40 minutes out, Pastor Ray, who checked on me. But he came in a little bit later. But when he got in, he stayed in. He's still in. But before him, Pastor Dow. Pastor Dow came all the way from Tennessee and just ministered to me during those dark hours in my life. And then Pastor Ray. I'm going to give credit where credit is due in the early stage. And so, Israelites, here's the deal. I just want to encourage you that this is something that Jesus said would happen. This is literally what was going to happen. Matter of fact, all of the hate that I get it. You love your family, you love your friends, your co-worker, whatever, the people that you live life with before you came into the truth is natural. It is a natural propensity to want to share the good news. You want to share this good news because you have come to the truth and the knowledge of the word of Yah, and you want to share it. But they don't receive it. And you wonder, why are they not receiving it? Maybe I'm not explaining it right. Maybe if I explain it this way and that way. God, I like to think that I'm a pretty decent communicator. I can take things and that's abstract and make it more concrete. I can take things that are a little bit more complicated and make it more simple that even a child can understand it. Because I'm a child, I kind of think like that. And so I'm always like, well, how can I say that thing better where somebody can understand? But guys, this is to be expected. Let me read something to you out of the Bible. And I'm going to use three verses here. Reference here. This is in John 15, verse 18. Starting in verse 18, it says, "If the world hates you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hates you." So there was a time I was in Christianity and they loved me. I experienced that love. Now, it's not the type of love I'm experiencing now, but I experienced a level of love that was normal at that time. That was my normal. It felt love. And then all of a sudden I have my dream. I get called out of the world. This is what it says right there. And therefore he says, but I have chosen you out of the world. So I got chosen out of the world. Many are called, but few are chosen. And it was through this dream that I got called out. And when I start walking that path that I was walking, all of a sudden people start hating on me. My wife, Eileen, started hating on me. Turned the children against me. People in the community turned against me. I didn't have a lot of support here locally. Did not have a lot of support. Even with all the money I gave here, with all the time that I gave in this community, I was not even given the benefit of the doubt. As soon as I decided to keep the Sabbath day holy, hell broke loose. But here's what Jesus says. He says, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you. Remember, here's the part. He says, remember, verse 20, remember the word that I said unto you. The servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. And if they have kept my sayings, Jesus said, if they have kept my sayings, they will keep yours also. Listen to this. Christians do not keep the sayings of Jesus. They don't. They are workers of iniquity. They transgress the law of God. Jesus says, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. Christians actually brag about sinning. They literally, they can't even help it. You tell myself, you may give them a benefit of you at least probably sin once a week. They say, no, I sin every day. I sin every minute. There's the stuff that's coming out of their mouth. They will even mock or joke around that they eat bacon and pork. I live in Wisconsin, so they love their brats and their pigs and their swine. They love it. They love their bacon, and they brag. They say, "Look at I'm eating." I've had Christians literally joke around eating swine. Literally, this is so they do not keep the sayings of Jesus. They don't walk like Jesus. They don't talk like Jesus. They don't keep his sayings. So if they're not keeping Jesus' saying, they're not going to keep your saying. Let me read that again. This is what Jesus says. He says, if they have kept my sayings, they will keep yours also. So because we were chosen out of the world, and then we tried to teach them the truth and the knowledge of this truth, this book called the Holy Bible, and we try to bring it to them. The reason why they're not receiving it is because they don't keep the sayings. They're not going to understand you. And he says, but all these things they will do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. Let me go to John 16. This has happened to me, guys. John 16:1. I got kicked out of a church that I was a deacon at. I think I put this in one of my videos. I was kicked out. Was told not to come back. About 2 churches. One church in Stevens Point, the one that hid my family for 40 days. And I was talking to the guy on the phone. Tell me, is that feeling like love? That's not love. They hate me. They love me less. And he told me if I came back again, they will call 911 on me. That's what they told me. They said I am not welcome. 2 churches that I've given thousands of dollars to, time and energy to, and they said, don't come back. Let me read this to you. It says in John 16:1, it says, these things I have spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended. Don't be offended, people. Don't be offended. It's going to happen. If you've been chosen and you've decided to follow Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, it's going to happen. He says, don't be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yes, the time come that whosoever killeth you will think that he is doing God's service. And these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. What does it say in 1 John? 1 John chapter 2. He says, those who say they know me and keep not my commandment is a liar, and the truth is not in him. That's what it says. Guys, please go back and check what I'm saying. So I'm looking at this week as I'm talking to some Christians. I'm having interaction with them on Facebook, by phone, YouTube, and I'm having these conversations with them. And these are the stuff I'm experiencing. I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm trying. There was one person, there was two people that I took it time. I said, okay, I'm gonna show my cards, because one says I'm a racist. I said I'm not racist. I said white devil. People said, whoa. So now you're racist. I said, I'm not racist. I have white brothers in the faith who I love dearly. Literally, love dearly. I have a lot of them in the faith with Straightway. We have white brothers. I have white elders who I love dearly. Teachers who I love dearly. These, last time I checked, they're white, but they're not devils. And why can I call them a devil? Because it says it in 1 John 3 that if you're not keeping his commandments, you are a child of the devil. So it's a play on word. I'm being honest. It's a play on word. I know that you think that I'm thinking like I'm Malcolm X or something, you blue-eyed white devil. Hey, There's some truth to that. All white devils are going to hell. Guess what? All black devils are going to hell. It doesn't matter what color the devil is. A devil is going to hell. And if you're not keeping the commandments of Yah, you are a devil. So there it is. I let the cat out of the bag right there. So there you have it. And so I'm running into these Christians, and they literally are just there's no love in them. But guess what? The Bible says that they're not going to be able to love. Let me show you another scripture here. This is in Luke. This is Luke chapter 7. Luke chapter 7, verse 31. It says this. And this is deep. This is deep. And I've always read this, but I never understood it. But now I understand it because of these conversations I'm having with people that I used to fellowship with, that I used to live life with. Christians. I'm talking about Christians. I was a Christian for 17 years. Here's what it says. And this is Jesus speaking again. And the Lord said, whereunto then shall I liken the men of this generation? And to what are they like? They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace and calling one another and saying, we have piped unto you, like sing harp unto you, like, music or instruments, and ye have not danced. We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept. For John the Baptist came neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and ye say he had a devil. The Son of Man is come eating and drinking, and ye say, behold, a gluttonous man and a winebibber, a drunk basically, a friend of publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of all her children. I mean, look at this. It's talking about, it sounds like Jesus likened this generation to children playing in the marketplace. And they're playing music. And they're saying that you're not dancing. Or what else it says? It says that we mourn, but you don't cry. Well, there was a time in those 17 years that when Christians say something, I used to go and speak. Do speaking engagement. Even Reggie White even acknowledges stuff that he would just go and tell his testimony or regurgitate something that he heard somebody else say. Now I was a little bit more astute in the word than he was, and he admitted that he wasn't. I really did study the word and was coming to the truth and the knowledge eventually. But when I came to speak, same thing, and people just they love it. I mean, I did it the way they wanted me to do it. Exactly. I mean, if they wanted me to jump, I said how high. I mean, I played. I was marching to the beat that Christianity was drumming. Boom, boom, boom. I was in beat, and then all of a sudden I had that dream, and then Yah called me out, and now I am dancing or marching to a different beat, and it's not Christianity, and that's what's happening right now. I'm no longer dancing to their music. I'm no longer crying when they're mourning. Christianity have a different set of rules that's not biblical. You can't find it in the Bible. I'm a commandment keeper, and that's what I'm keeping. And because of that, it's like we have become, it's like it's like being in the Tower of Babel. Remember in the Tower of Babel? I mean, these people were all speaking one language, and then all of a sudden, boom, he confused their language. And now I'm speaking English just like I've always been a good communicator, and now I can't even communicate to these people or get them to understand the essence of what I'm trying to show them because Yah has not opened up their understanding. Don't get frustrated, people. It's not you. I guarantee it's not you. Jesus told us this would happen. He told us this would happen. They're not going to hear you because they don't even keep his commandments. If they don't keep his commandments and keep his ways, they're not going to hear you. But if they did, they will hear you. And I've ran into people who are trying to keep his ways. And when I speak to them, it's like, I'm like, man, that was easy. I love talking to people who receive it. It's like, man, I'd rather talk to those people, never talk to Christians because, man, when I talk to Christians, I'm usually discouraged. Pastor Dow says that, when he hears that I talk to Christians, he says, be encouraged. They vex your spirit because you're really trying to get this truth to them and they won't hear it. They won't hear it. Here, let me read another one. Here's 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians. And I know sometimes I can be hard in my speaking, especially on Facebook or when I'm speaking to people and calling them white devils or going to hell or things of that nature, they react. Even though I may be rude, but I do not speak without knowledge. Even Paul mentioned the same thing in 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians, let me read this. Let me go there before I go here. 2 Corinthians 11. And this is what he says. He says right here, and I used to hear, he says right here in verse 6, it says, but though I be rude in speech, yet not in knowledge, but we have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things, and have committed the offense of base myself, that ye might be exalted, because I have preached to you the gospel of God freely. And I'm doing this freely. I can tell you this right now. So I may be rude in speech, but yet not without knowledge. So when I speak to my Christian friends of the past, I speak with knowledge. It may come off rude, but it's purposeful. I promise you. I'd rather you walk away thinking about what I said, thinking that, oh, we agree. This is their favorite. We're just going to agree to disagree. See, they're okay. Christianity is okay with agreeing to disagree. Well, as a Hebrew Israelite, as a commandment keeper, agreeing to disagree is not good. It's futile. You would die. This is not, oh, well, you believe. There is no private interpretation when it comes to this book. There's no private interpretation. There's only one. There's one mind, one soul, one accord. You can't have oneness with we'll just agree to disagree. You just can't. But anyway, let me go to 1 Corinthians here, chapter 2, and wrap this thing up. But verse 14, it says this. It says, but, and this is why Christians struggles to understand me, understand people like me. And here's what it says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. You're spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual judgeth all things. Let me say it again. But he that is spiritual judge all things, yet he himself is judge of no man. I can't be judged by these Christians. They don't even like judging. They only judge out of frustration. Well, I think you're wrong. According to who? According to who? Well, I think you're following the devil. You're part of a cult. According to who? According to who? And all I'm listening to is according to this Bible, but they can't show you in the Bible. And so they just tell you out of frustration because you call them a white devil and they're going to hell and that they're not saved. And you think you're saved, but you're really not saved. And all they just say is, well, I think you're wrong. Just assertion. They just assert things and they can't even back it up. For it says, for who had known the mind of the Lord that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ. So people, we are being hated on because we have the mind of Christ. Christians do not have the mind of Christ. They don't even do what he says, so that's why they can't even hear you. If they did what he says, they could hear you. That's why we're speaking two different language. So the gist of this message is, why does Christian hate us? Is because their father is the devil. And I'm saying that out there. Christians' father is the devil. They understand his speech. And when you come in and speak in the things of Yah, they're not going to understand you. So don't be frustrated. I can tell you right now, I am a very good communicator. Pretty decent. That's what people have told me. You know? And usually when I'm speaking to people, I think I'm speaking to a child. Because I want people to understand. I don't speak to talk over people's head. I want people to, I'll take the time to break something down, because the object of communicating is to get people to understand. And no matter how hard, no matter how diligent I do, that I try to communicate something, I can't get Christians to understand what is coming out of my mouth. And the reason is because Yah is not dealing with them. They cannot understand because they don't have ears to hear and eyes to see. They just don't. And so don't get frustrated. Sometimes it's good to talk to Christians just to kind of get your sword sharpened. That's a good thing you get out of it. And maybe that little seed you plant, maybe you plant the seed, and then maybe they'll talk to somebody else because the seed you planted, they'll come and water, and then ultimately Yah will make it grow. So don't ever underestimate the role you play in that person's life. You could just be the person who's planting seed. You could be the person who's tilling the ground. I could be, that's the hardest part. That's nothing fun. You're just breaking things up. So that now somebody could come in there and plant the seed, and then somebody could come and water, and then eventually Yah makes it grow. So never underestimate your role in somebody's life. I remember I'll end on this story. There was a guy named Calvin, Brother Calvin. And I remember 3 or 4 years ago, he was talking to me about the kingdom. He was into this whole kingdom thing. And I'm going to be honest, I was deceived. I did not quite understand what he was talking about because I was still a Christian. I thought like a Christian. But I had a huge respect for the word of Yah. I had a respect. And so the things he was showing me was biblically. So one thing, I never argue against that book. If you can Bible it, I can believe it. I may not even understand it, but if I can see it in that book, I will yield to the Holy Bible. I will yield. And I remember he was talking and I asked some questions and trying to understand. And he's more of an engineer, so it sounded complicated when he was talking to me, especially with the fact I didn't have ears to hear at the time. But I'm listening. Didn't make him feel bad for having it. I didn't say, well, I think you're wrong. I just listened because that's all I really could do because I didn't have a leg to stand on with the thing he was talking about. It's clear. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. How do you seek his kingdom? How do you seek? What is the kingdom? And his righteousness. His kingdom have laws, precepts, instructions on how to live in that kingdom. He was talking about the kingdom. Now I can understand Calvin when he's talking about the kingdom. I said, Calvin, I know what you're talking about. How was I able to not understand him? But who knows? Calvin was probably tilling ground with me at the time. He was probably tilling the ground. And I kept on doing things, and then it allowed me to be able to get other things in, and then eventually start growing. So don't underestimate the role you play. Sometimes it's frustration talking to your Christian natural family or your friends or people you work with. Don't get frustrated. Understand it's meant to be. These people are just blinded. Jesus talked about this. He says, in the last days, many will come in his name, say that he is Christ, actually acknowledge that he is the Messiah, and deceive many. Most Christians are deceived, if not all. All of them are deceived. Just completely deceived. That's why it's called deceived. And being an Israelite, we already know that we're part of the minority. We're not the many. There's very few people. I know that because I can't just go to any church around here in this town and find a church that's a commandment-keeping church. I wouldn't be able to find any assembly like that. Wouldn't find it. There's people that's a part of my assembly here in Straightway Praise Lane in Wisconsin here, and they travel hours, 3 here, 2 there, hours just to have fellowship because there's no one in between that we know of. And then people start hearing about it, they just travel. We just don't have the luxury. Like Christians, you can just go from one block to the next block, or go, maybe a 5-minute, 10-minute drive, you can get to the next church. But not with Straightway, not with the Hebrew Israelites. So anyway, I just wanted to encourage you guys that these conversations that I'm having with the Christians can be frustrated, and I'm excited. And I know I said I'm going to end on this one, but I am going to end this. There's a video that I'm going to put out on 6th day, which is pretty much tomorrow. I'm going to put out a video on a brother named Jody Vanderplus. Jody was a guy that we got into an altercation on Facebook because of some of the things I said. I had 2 pictures of I had the picture of the Twin Tower, and I kind of associated the Twin Tower to the destruction of my marriage by Eileen and the Christians in this area of the destruction of my marriage. And we had some strong words, and it was so strong and heated on Facebook that I just basically told Jody, hey, you know where I live? Come on. You know where I live, and tell me that in my face. And he says some colorful things. I'm saying white devils are going to hell. He says, well, you are a disgrace to you should be ashamed being a black man. I mean, it was some strong words. And guess what? Jody has been back here twice now. He's been back here twice. and he loves it. And supposedly, I guess we love bomb him because my Eileen has been communicating with him and saying that I love that we're doing some type of mind alteration or love bomb or gaslighting. I don't think we're not causing confusion. So he says we're doing some love bomb. Man, I wonder what the love what is the atomic love bomb looks like, because I can tell you right now, Christians probably need to learn how to do some love bombing because they are lacking in that department. Why? Because they're children of the devil. They do not know how to love. Jesus taught us how to love. He said they'll know that you're my disciples the way you love one another. So anyway, please stay tuned to see Jody's testimony of why he came to check us out and why he decided to stay. That's the fruit of what we're doing here. That's the fruit of what Pastor Dow is doing in Tennessee and Straightway, all across the United States and even in the world. It's this fruit. You can't deny it. And that's why they lie to people and try to scare people from coming here, because they know once they come here, you can't deny the power. You cannot deny the power. The power of love, the power of healing, the power of deliverance. You cannot deny that. So anyway, I just want to end that. I hope this stimulated thought and encouraged you. Don't be discouraged. Christians are going to hate you. This is why they hate us, is because we are children of the Most High. And when you're born again, expect to be hated, especially by the Christians, more so than any other religion. I have most of my issue comes from Christians. I don't have issues with Islam, with the Muslims. I don't have issues with the Buddha, Hindu, whatever else is out there. My issues come from Christians. I've been kicked out of churches. So anyway, like I said, I hope this stimulated thought. Blessings and shalom, shalom.